I just want to talk to you more about goalkeepers, about what we can do together right now. Because 2020 is just not another date. 2020 should be the great goalkeepers year. Do you agree with me? Yeah, most definitely. It's a third of the way through the SDGs. It's a moment to lock in a system of real commitment, to double up on financing, to focus the UN and governments on their own promises. It's not an optional extra push. It's an emergency. And the campaign is a crucial emergency measure. Now, as host of this incredible day, I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to tell you some of the most exciting plans and events that are already happening, all of which I hope you will support and should support you in all your work. So first, let us think back to what happened just this Friday, where millions of people around the world from over 150 different countries walked out of their homes, out of their schools, out of their workplaces to take to the street and demand urgent action on climate change. Just here in New York City alone, it was estimated that over 250,000 people took part, led by Greta Thunberg, a young activist who has become an inspiration to all of us. Her campaign is now working with Action for Sustainable Development, specifically aimed at the SDGs, who this week are organizing action in thousands of cities and hundreds of countries in the hashtag Stand Together Now campaign. Now, next year, 2020, of course, they're planning an even bigger push. And goalkeepers themselves are creating their own campaign and events. Kennedy Odede, who's in this room right now. Kennedy, where are you? I'd like to acknowledge you, please. May you please wave? Hey, Kennedy, I see you. Now, you're holding a goal summit in January in Kibera, this in Kenya, to focus efforts on tackling poverty. Then there are sporting and cultural events to create noise and action around the goals. Now, the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympic Games are going to be the first games to adopt the goals, and to build on that, there will be a goalkeepers in Tokyo the day before the Olympics opening ceremony. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing. Let's move on to the next one. The theatre world is also joining in the push for the goals in 2020. The Good Chance Theatre, which is an extraordinary group of artists and filmmakers, well, they are creating a project called The Walk, which will see a giant puppet of a young Syrian girl called Little Amal travel through Turkey and Europe. Little Amal represents the young displaced children who journey alone, and she will be stopping at hundreds of towns, of schools, of churches and theatres, engaging with civil society and drawing attention to the hardships that thousands of children are struggling with every day. Now, the involvement of the world of culture and performance doesn't stop there, ladies and gentlemen, because next year, we like to party. Yeah. I know what you're thinking. That's right. Global Citizen. Well, they're putting on an epic scene of festivals on 5 continents called Global Goal Live, with huge reach online and on television. Well, the aim of that is that there are, of course, billions of more people who will then be made aware of the goals, and millions more will be recruited to be active campaigners to fight for them in the next decade. But now, to take us through the last part of this session, please welcome to the stage 2 long-time campaigners from different parts of the world with different life experiences, but united in their commitment to the goals and their intention to collaborate to make 2020 a year of unprecedented action and progress. Well, first, she's the vice chairperson of the Okore Party in Kenya, a 2018 Obama Africa Leadership Fellow, and was voted one of Africa's top 100 most influential youth in the category of governance and law. She's also a member of the Goalkeepers Advisory Board, Scheaffer Okore. Yeah? She will be with us in just a moment, but joining her, he has been at the forefront of campaigning for the goals since 2015 and the MDGs before that. He's also the writer of films like Notting Hill, Love Actually, Mr. Bean. He doesn't know it. He's going to write Tumelo Takes New York City. We're still talking. I know, Richard, we're still talking. But he's also the co-founder of Project Everyone and the UN advocate for global goals. Richard Curtis. Give them a warm round of applause.
Hello, goalkeepers. Hello, goalkeepers. How are you? I said if anything fails today, at least I brought some color, right? Thank you to Melo. I aspire to speak as eloquently as she does. It is a wonderful day, and it is wonderful to see all of you. I must admit, this room feels like nothing is impossible. The idea of community is one that is very close to my heart. I believe in the singularity of purpose, the unity of voices, and the power and togetherness of the people in this particular room. This is what drives us as an advisory board, both collectively and individually, in finding ways of ensuring that the community of goalkeepers harnesses its power and works as one.
That's so true. It's really good to be here, and great to be able to really take on the issue of what we're going to be asking you to do during the course of this year. I've been in campaigns for a long time now, and I would just say that the great miracle of them is you decide to do one small thing, and then because you've opened a door, then you suddenly find you've got unexpected partners, whether it be business, other campaigners, investment people, politicians who suddenly come out. So what I would say is, really, we would really love you to focus now on this particular year, on the next 18 months, so that you can feel as you read all the gloomy stuff in the papers and think to yourself, then you can say, well, no, actually, I'm doing something about that right now. So I hope it's going to be a profoundly satisfying and a profoundly exhausting 12 months. And let's just go through some of the ways that we can push things forward in 2020.
No one is being asked to stop what they're already doing.
Yeah, no, what we're asking is for you to just give like 10% extra as if you weren't trying hard enough, to link it into the goals and put extra pressure on everybody you're working with to make it such a noticeable year.
Absolutely, and just to make it clear, here are a few of the things we can all do, and I'd like to talk to some goalkeepers now to go through this. So first, we must continue telling everyone about these particular goals. Yes, that's literally everyone, everybody. Every interview you might do, every article you read, every podcast you host or listen to, every website you click on, talk about these goals.
Yeah, even when they don't want you to. There we go. Also, a really important and interesting thing, we've heard a lot about that today, is using data to track progress. Absolutely. Really obsessed by this. It can no longer be just sort of dreams and hopes. Up-to-date data is so important. It will prove you're right. It becomes politically unarguable. We've got Olishan Oringbindi here. You really work with data, don't you, particularly to get things done. Can you tell us how it works and whether or not it can really make things happen?
Yeah, thank you very much, Richard. So in the last 8 years, what we have seen is that when we use data in a very simple and actionable way, citizens act in their own self-interest and hold government to account or ensure service delivery. We have had situations where schools were not being built, hospitals were not being built, and were allocated funds in the budget. And we have like 400 students in the classroom, and over the years, budgets have been allocated to them. Then we give them this data, and then we see a spring of hope in them, and they see that they can find a way to demand effective service delivery, and schools get built, and children are happy, and society gets better.
That's so brilliant. So you know there's meant to be a school, you tell the government that there's meant to be a school, and then there is a school. And we're going to be really trying to find the key data points that really make people emotional this year about the goals and put them out there as much as we can.
Absolutely. And once we have our data on lockdown, we need to link our current campaigns or your current campaigns to the actual goals. One goalkeeper doing this in the most impressive way is in this room. Kekashan Basu. Can I ask you to stand up and tell us all that you're doing, and are you finding the goals useful when you fight for what is right?
Thank you very much. 7 years ago, when I was 12 years old, I founded Green Hope Foundation, a social innovation enterprise that uses education for sustainable development as a transformative tool to engage and educate children and youth, especially those who are marginalized. And we use innovative modes of communication such as music, art, dance, drama, sports to teach children and youth about the sustainable development goals and then teach them to implement local solutions to issues that are specific to their region. And that ranges from mitigating climate change, gender equality, biodiversity conservation, peace building, social justice. And now we have 1,362 members taking grassroots level action in our 14 country chapters. And these children include Syrian refugees, Rohingya refugees, children of prisoners in Kenya and Nepal, the homeless and orphans in Suriname, Bangladesh, and India. And the SDGs, the main objective is to leave no one behind. And that is exactly what my team and I are doing by moving beyond the rhetoric and taking local grassroots level action so as to leave no one behind.
Phenomenal.
That is so important, and any time that you can, as it were, quote and use the muscle of the goals, I think that's fantastic. Another thing that I've written here is transform business to align with the goals. I think the big shock to everyone has been in the last few years the extent to which business have actually adopted the goals. They're a long-term view, and it's actually they're used to working with programs and juxtaposing what they do with actual plans. And also there's this sort of consumer revolution happening where consumers and their employees want purpose-driven business. We've got a new business group called the Business Avengers, which includes companies like Nike, Salesforce, Coca-Cola, Alibaba, all committing to driving progress to the goals. And 20% of you in the room today are running businesses. And we would really ask that you do everything you can to use your business to help the goals, invest your money and pension sustainably, work for gender equality, look at your supply chains, talk to other businesses you work with about these issues. Absolutely everything. Business will be a key driver in 2020.
Absolutely. Now, it's obvious and very crucial to form new partnerships for action. We all know the importance of partnerships. Again, we've seen this happen right here in this room, and I'm lucky that I was in the audience when this happened. When the Points guy and Nimco Ali joined together, and he sorted her travel to Somaliland, where she changed the laws on FGM. These partnerships can happen today, right this very minute. It may even be that the person sitting next to you could be your partner in accelerating your work. Right, Richard?
Yeah, it's a bit like when you go to church, they always make you shake the hand of the person next door. Get their business card, find out whether or not they've got more money than you, and then get them to help you. That's the advice. It's also, really important. There's one other area here to support and campaign for these key political meetings. This is so important, it's one of the things campaigning can do, particularly in the countries where the meetings are happening. If you take a look here, we've got Gavi happening in the UK, and the outcome of these sort of campaigns will be affected by and the drive and the visibility of this campaign. So we'll be working on Gavi. Gavi's just achieved the most extraordinary things with mechanisms like it. Child deaths of preventable diseases have gone down from 10 million in 2000 to about 5 million today. That's 14,000 lives saved. So let me just see, do we have anyone from Ethiopia, Rwanda, UK, Portugal, Japan, France, China, or the USA here? Raise your hands. Okay, that's your job. Find out the big things that are happening and try and get yourself, as it were, into the news fighting for those.
Great. Next up, educate the next generation. This is so important. Project Everyone do the world's largest lesson in 153 countries to spread news about goals among school children. Two goalkeepers here today, Simiye Michael and Damien Isaac from Nigeria, are working to reach 500,000 children in schools, communities, and displaced people's camps across Nigeria this October. Then we must all try to mobilize our communities for the goals. We've seen that an epic scale in the climate march on Friday. But it all works the way down, it must all work the way down to communities. Amika George is here, who won an award with us last year for her work on Campaign for Free Periods, which works to change the laws in the UK to end period poverty. And she's not stopping there. In 2020, we will see her export this powerful, positive movement for good to other European countries. Go, Amika. I really want to live in a world where there's no menstrual stigma.
Yeah, I mean, this is so important, this idea that if you found that your idea works, you expand it and expand it to other communities and expand it to other countries. And it is so necessary then to drive local accountability, to make sure that the promises that people have made are actually, you know, fulfilled. This is what campaigners are for, just not allowing laws and promises to stay dormant. So be like a dog on a bone with this. If the system isn't working in your town or in your city, use the goals, use the fact they're promised, and target the people who have promised and get it done. We've got Amanda Wynne here, who just yesterday opened the General Assembly at the UN. Amanda, please tell us what you've been doing, how you've targeted things and got things done.
My name is Amanda Wynne. I'm the daughter of Vietnamese boat refugees, and I'm also a rape survivor. And like so many rape survivors, when we met a broken criminal justice system, I felt despair, but I also felt fire. And so my team and I decided to rewrite the law. In America, and some states still, rape kits, the evidence that's collected from our bodies, are destroyed untested at 6 months or at 30 days, even if the statute of limitations is much longer than that. So what we did was we put our heads together. We wrote the Sexual Assault Survivor Bill of Rights. We passed it unanimously through the United States Congress in 2016. But my story is not alone. Now, the United Nations has never passed a General Assembly resolution that's focused solely on rape. There are 1.3 billion rape survivors in the world, and for the first time ever in history, we flew in rape survivors from all around the world, and then we asked Epstein's, R. Kelly's, and Larry Nassar's survivors to join us, because we are more than the men who raped us. We are saying the most powerful tool we have is our voice, and that's why peace is not the absence of visible conflict. Rather, in order for us to actually achieve peace, survivors must have access to justice. And we want to ask people to join us in helping us push for this UN resolution.
Thanks. Amanda, that's so brilliant to hear you say that. And I've got the feeling that almost everyone here has a really single, passionate aim that they're fighting for. And I think the glory of the SDGs is their comprehensiveness, that they actually, for the first time, have respected gender, respected climate, looked for justice, fought poverty, fought health. So I'm asking all of you who are passionate about each of those individual issues to continue to dedicate your life, as Amanda does, to fighting for what you believe in, but to, as it were, add it, like you're lining up in one great battle to achieve in 2020 a sea change in terms of what politicians are doing and where finance is going to come from, because that will be the thing that makes a difference and sets us up for a great decade rather than a disappointing one.
To round it all off, next September, the plan is to tie all of these fantastical actions together with a deadline when we show up as a community, and that is the 25th of September 2020, a global day of action, the 5th anniversary of the original announcement of the goals in 2015. That will be the day, the deadline, when the full force of all our work will pay off. And then on the 26th September, we can relax, maybe for a day or two, and then get back to work. Maybe grab gin.
Yeah, there'll be no end of partners. We will have churches, we will have businesses, we will have trade unions, we will have school children, we will have feminists, we will have academics, and we will have, most importantly, and I'm so proud to be one of you, goalkeepers. And good luck for an extraordinary and amazing year.
'20 is going to be an extraordinary year. Goalkeepers are in a position to be key players in pushing for the goals, to catch up where they should be. We thank you in advance for all of your work. And before Richard and I leave, I wanted to say, if anything fails, because the journey to keeping these goals are hard, the pushback is immense, the inequality, the biases, the unlearning, the questions we need to have, the discomfort we need to face, and the spaces we need to occupy to achieve these goals are not going to be given to us easy. And if all of that fails, may we remember that in this very day and this very moment, we came and we were keepers of ourselves. Thank you.